Hello and welcome to News and Views for April the 3rd, 2025. We have a lot to get to today, so I'm just going to jump right in. First of all, we had a tariff meeting just a few days ago here in town, talking with Chuck Davidson, who is the CEO and president of the Manitoba Chambers of Commerce. A lot of great discussion from our business community about the impacts and potential impacts of tariffs. And on the show today, we have a short interview with Mr. Davidson, talking about the impact of those tariffs specifically in the Neepawa area, and also about the effectiveness of Manitoba's response so far. Then we sat down with Don Walmsley to have another update from Habitat for Humanity. They're having a public meeting next week, April 8th, to announce the family that they have selected for the home, and also have a big Q&A with the community about what the next steps are, volunteer opportunities, and all kinds of things there. So that is happening next Tuesday, April the 8th. And then finally, our own John Drinkwater was down at the Royal Manitoba Winter Fair in Brandon, had a great conversation with a representative from the Western College of Veterinary Medicine. We've talked quite a few times here in Neepawa, in our surrounding communities, about the need for more vets in Manitoba, especially in rural areas, especially with large animals. So they were talking about training seats at the college, training seats for Canadians, for Manitobans, and what that looks like right now. And on that topic, a quick note about another training program, ACC's Practical Nursing Program, which came to Neepawa in 2024 for its first intake in our new training facility, has been renewed. They will do an intake for their next program for January 2027. Applications already open for that. And of course, you may notice, if you're good at math, there is a bit of a gap between the end of the previous program and the start of the next one. So the town is looking into what to use the facility for, what kind of training programs might come in that 1 year period. So that is something to watch out for in the future. If you have anything that is going on, anything you'd like highlighted on the show, anything you'd like us to visit around the community, please get in touch and let us know. You can reach us at 204-476-2639 or by email at nactv@wcgwave.ca. Thanks and enjoy the show. What have you heard in Neepawa that's sort of different from other areas of the province?
Well, I think what we heard here is that the tariff issue is not directly hitting businesses as much as I've heard in other areas. There's a very different, from some of the conversations we had today, businesses are impacted. It's more a little bit of a wait and see, strictly because, in some of the other communities, there's been much heavier manufacturing that are feeling it from a trade perspective. So I think that's one of the things I've heard here today. There's obviously concerns more from an ag perspective, being this is more of an agricultural type community, in terms of what those longer term impacts are going to be. And so that's, I think, a big part of what we heard here today.
And sort of just from the aggregate of all the places you've talked to, what are the sort of agricultural areas that are seeing the most impact, both from the U.S. tariffs and from China?
Yeah, I think all of the agriculture are feeling the heat from this. Whether it be pork processing, whether it be agricultural producers, whether it be potato producers, that's something, and then manufacturers as well that are needing machinery are all feeling the impacts of this. And again, it's that level of uncertainty that's out there in terms of how businesses are, what steps that they're taking. Is interesting, that they're trying to be as proactive as possible to lessen the impact of this, and trying to figure out exactly where the U.S. government and where the Chinese governments are potentially going, what that longer term impact is going to be. So it makes it a very uncertain time if you're in those industries that are being targeted for these tariffs.
And then how do you mitigate that uncertainty?
So that's the difficult part, is, part of the conversations that we're trying to have is how can you adjust your supply chains? How can you look at new markets? How can you provide supports for those business owners in some of those sectors? So those are some of the conversations that we're trying to have dialogue with government on, is really providing an understanding of the impact that businesses are dealing with, and the kind of programs that they're going to need to put in place. Provincial government has announced 2 weeks ago, just in regards to $100 million for agriculture supports. We need to know a little bit more exactly what kind of supports those are going to be and how they can be accessed. in the need that ag producers are going to need those dollars. So that's what we're pushing for at this point in time, is making them aware that this problem is real. And here's what the potential impact is going to be on communities, and what businesses are already doing to be preemptive in terms of dealing with the situation.
And one of the sort of long-term prospects to sort of our way out of this is those reduction of interprovincial trade barriers. And of course, that was mentioned in the recent budget as well from Manitoba, as far as trade of goods, but also of movement of people and recognition of credentials. So what steps really need to be taken to make this reality?
Well, government needs to have the commitment. And what you're seeing is commitment from some premiers that they're bringing in legislation to say we're getting rid of all interprovincial trade barriers, whether it's movement of people or goods, and they're serious about this. And so there is a political appetite to kind of go down this path. We're recognizing as well that it is one of those things that we do have control over, that we can make it easier to do trade and to move people across this country, and so it takes political will. And so it's organizations like ourselves and many others that are pushing government and trying to work with government to give them a better understanding about the potential impacts of this, and that this is a good thing for Canada. This is not a negative thing. And I think that's where we're looking to go. I think it's being a topic of discussion at the federal government in the current election as well, and ask those leaders when they come around where they are on these issues, because taking action on this will have a positive impact on the Canadian and Manitoba economy. But we have to take action. And if we can't get it right now, when our closest neighbor has decided to take unjustified action against us, we're never going to get this right. Now is a pivotal time for Canada to get our act together, take control of our own economy, start looking at other new markets, and try to make it easier to do business within our own country.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Coffee Chat. I am today's host, Rain Pryor. My guest for today is no stranger to you all. This is Don Walmsley, here in his capacity as a sort of a spokesperson for Habitat for Humanity, which has some exciting updates coming up. It's particularly a community meeting coming up next week. Tell me about that.
Okay, well, thanks, Rain. It's lovely to be here again. Yes, with Habitat for Humanity, the last time we spoke, I said that I would be sure to keep you updated. And we're at a point now where we want to engage again with the community because a number of exciting things have happened. It's quite an interesting process, this, because it definitely is a process. Habitat for Humanity has been around for a fair while, so it's very well organized. But what's really delightful with it, that each chapter, and we're the Neepawa chapter, and the Neepawa chapter they've set us up so that we can provide support to the area. So surrounding communities like Gladstone, Minnedosa, Carberry, McCreary, if they're interested in doing their own habitat project, they don't need to have their own chapter. We can provide that kind of basic support and be that conduit to Habitat. They do this in
like a regional hub.
Yes, exactly. They do this. They've done this in the southeastern part of the province and in other areas. So it's quite exciting. So we've been steadily working away. We secured land. The exciting thing is we're going to have this public meeting on April the 8th. We're going to have it at 7 p.m. It's going to be in the CEC building, the Christian Education building, that's attached to the Neepawa United and Anglican Shared Ministry. So if you go there into the building at the back, we're going to be holding it there. And essentially, we're going to talk about, we've chosen our family.
That's the exciting thing.
It's so exciting, and it's quite a specific and rigorous process, because you've got to remember something. This is not a gift. People aren't being gifted. The family who gets selected actually has earned it, and they've earned it because, one, they've been working. Two, they have been able to manage their finances so they don't carry a big debt load. Three, they're in a position where, while they're doing that, they still would never be in a position to be able to afford a down payment. So this is not a gift to somebody. This is actually the people who have been chosen have have earned this through their efforts to date, which is really quite exciting. And we had a number of applicants in the process, because I sat on the selection committee as well. And the going through the process was very interesting. It was our first time.
Yeah.
We got tremendous help from Habitat itself,
Yeah.
Habitat Manitoba. They're very supportive and help us clarify and
So
line.
is there like a metric you go through
Oh,
for the
totally.
selection process?
Oh, yes. There's not only the application, but there's also references from income, from where you're currently living now, a debt load. There's a credit check, and that's very, because if you have too much of a debt load, you're not going to be able to, within your income, your disposable income, be able to afford a mortgage. You've got to be able to afford the mortgage. Now the mortgage is
people pay for the house.
They pay for the house. They just don't do a down payment.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it's a certain percentage of their income, regardless of what that is. That's how they gauge the mortgage payment.
Right.
But they they mortgage it for I think the contract term, and I'm hoping I'm getting this correct, is 15 years, and then it becomes theirs to do with what they please. Yeah. In the meantime, it still is owned by Habitat, but they're paying towards that.
Right.
I think that's just a buffer they found over the years, that if after 6 or 7 years somebody decides to leave and no longer want, we can still use that home as a Habitat home.
Right.
We go through another selection process. The thing is that then the home would already be there.
Because we're not reinventing the wheel here. This has been done successfully in many other locations.
Oh, totally. And that's why it's been so marvelous to work with. And I know that the concept of having a Habitat home here has been kicked around for a while. And then finally, the stars aligned in the right confirmation, and
the right people, the right place,
right
the right
people,
time.
and really it pivoted around. Essentially, started with John Lavage.
Yeah.
I mean, John has had connections, and he sort of got this going. And we've got a tremendously active, dynamic, outside the box thinking steering committee. And of course, there are other people who have gone and done little bits and pieces, and we're part of what we're looking at is we're going to, with this process, as I said, look at expanding that. But the first thing we're going to do, we're going to be introducing the home. We've gone through the selection process, and we have a family. So that's going to be announced there. They're going to be introduced, and that's really exciting. We're also going to talk about the home's location and show the floor plan.
So that has been decided now.
The floor plan has been decided upon.
And I realize you can't do that until you have the family.
Exactly. And so now we've confirmed what we're going to do there. We know that. And there's a choice of there's a limited number of floor plans. It's not like you can choose anything you want. And they build within the plan. They build it to the point where it accommodates the family. So if you have 5 in the family, there'll be bedroom spaces for 5. If you have 2, there'll be bedroom spaces for 2. Anything else then added beyond that, if somebody else comes into the picture, a new family member, that kind of thing, then it's up to the individual.
But this is why you can't.
Hi, my name is Myrna McDonald. I'm with Communications at the Western College of Veterinary Medicine, which is part of the University of Saskatchewan in Saskatoon. So we come out here every year to be part of the Royal Manitoba Winter Fair's Egg Awareness Program. We train veterinary students for Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and BC. So we are the vet college for Manitoba. So we kind of come here and we bring a little bit of everything from our vet college, and we get to meet a lot of great pre-vet students who are from Manitoba, and we just have a really good time for the week.
How many years has the college been in existence?
Yeah, this year's a very special year for us. We are 60 years old this year, so we started in 1965. Our first class of graduate students graduated in 1969. So yeah, it's yes, we have generations of veterinarians who've gone through our college. We also have like grandparents congratulating their grandkids that are getting into our college. So
talk me through the length of time that a student is studying and hands-on being involved in animal
in the program.
Yeah.
Sure. So for our college, you need to do at least 2 years of, it's called a pre-veterinary program. So most of our students have done the 2 years, or they might even have a degree before they come to our college.
Now, where would they obtain that?
They can, in Manitoba here, they can go to Brandon University, to University of Manitoba, University of Winnipeg. All of those college or universities have programs they can use to get into vet med. Once they are accepted at our vet college, it's a 4-year Doctor of Veterinary Medicine program. So they their first 3 years are spent mostly classroom and clinical practical skills, and then their final year is called the clinical year. So they would do 32 weeks of rotations, clinical rotations.
Okay. Is there a ballpark figure or limit to the number of students can participate per year?
Yeah, good question. Because veterinary medicine, the program is quite expensive to give. We can only accept 88 students per year. So 20 of the students are from Manitoba. Manitoba, just in the last few years, have increased the number of students they accept from 15 to 20. So it's great because we can take on more Manitoba students. And then, those 88 students, they're from BC, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and then Canada's north. So we only accept students from Canada at this point. And we have right now, I can't remember the total right now, but we have a number of our students are from Manitoba. And hopefully, once they graduate, we'll come back to practice here. So
would it be true to say that some of the students come from a rural background?
Yes, there's a number of our students who are coming from small communities, from rural background. A lot of them are from farms. A number of students are coming from cities as well too, or acreages. We have students who may not have been with large animals when they were younger, but when they get to our college, they find that they really love to work with cattle or swine or poultry, the different types of food animals. Or on the other hand, they might find that they really enjoy working with a mix, like there's small animal, large animal. And to tell you the truth, most of the veterinary clinics across Western Canada, most of them in smaller communities would be called mixed animal. So they're taking small animal or seeing small animal and large animals as well too. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Now, the course that you operate, is there a pretty good guarantee that there's opportunities to slot into a veterinary practice?
No, that's another great question. Yeah, it's our graduates, like we'll have a new class of students leaving or finishing up this in June, and most of them have had multiple job offers. So we have a 100% plus employment rate right now for our students, veterinarians across Canada. There's a very urgent shortage of vets.
I've heard that.
Yeah. So most of our students have been offered jobs multiple times, and it's a really dynamic program, very much needed, and lots of opportunities because they could go into private practice, they can work in public, like for regulatory medicine, work in industry, research. They can go back to school and continue on to become specialists. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of opportunities in veterinary medicine. So
good. That's answered my question about specialization.
Oh.
Now, this program is for people that desire to be a doctor of veterinary medicine.
Yeah.
What's the procedure for somebody that wants to be a veterinary technician?
Yeah, so this would be the registered veterinary technologist. So they're like an animal nurse that's
Right.
similar to in the human health system. So in Manitoba, there's one program through, it's Red River College in Winnipeg. So that would be a 2-year program. I'm not specifically familiar with everything at Red River, but they usually have a practicum where they would work either with clinics and get some hands-on experience. In Saskatchewan, we run through the Saskatchewan Polytechnic. So the veterinary technology students actually do a semester of their program at our college. So they're getting a lot of the hands-on practical experience with some of our clinical teams. And again, registered veterinary technologists are in very high demand in the profession. It's a great career, lots of opportunities. It's a shorter program, so they're not as in-depth as the veterinary medicine doctor program.
Right.
But it's they would work alongside veterinarians, and a lot of our vet techs have very they love their career and they love the animals. So
Now, the participants are coming from BC and Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Is there situations where the successful recipient is able to move to another province, or do they have to sort of register?
No, that's a great question. Actually, all of our students in their last year, they write it's called the North American Veterinary Licensing Examination. So we call it the NAVLE exam. So all of them have to write the exam and pass it, and that allows them to basically practice anywhere in North America. So in Canada, they can practice anywhere in Canada with that veterinary licensing exam. The only thing they would do is every province has a registrar or like a provincial veterinary association, veterinary medical association, and they would just need to be registered in that province as a veterinary professional and pay. There'd be fees involved with that. So,
you don't have to answer this, but I was wondering what percentage are recipients female as opposed to male?
No, I can. It's we've seen probably since around the mid 80s. Before that, there would have been a majority of the students were male. Now, since around the mid 80s or so, that's gone. So now it's a majority are female. So now probably about 80 to 85% are female. And it's a reflection of, you see that in a lot of the health science professions as well too. There's a number of females that are interested in the profession, and it offers a lot of opportunities for them as well too. So you can have families, you can live in smaller communities, have multiple, you have a family with a spouse can find, jobs in the different communities and such too. So it works really well for that job.
Finally, I'm assuming that in the course there's opportunities to learn to study about prescribing and understanding about medication for whether it be large livestock like cattle and horses, and then the smaller ones.
It's so part of their doctor of veterinary medicine program is they would be taking pharmacology courses. They would learn all aspects similar to a human physician. They would learn the different medications that would be for each animal. And it is actually a really interesting area because as I think all of us have heard, there's been some drug issues with, illicit drugs and such, which is affecting some of the veterinary profession, where some of the drugs are not being used for the right purposes. So it has to be quite careful on that side. And then there's also toxicology issues and such too. So yeah, it's a really interesting area, and they definitely would be getting some experience in that through school. So
now, in thinking about the human side of things, someone training to be a doctor, they can then specialize as a surgeon, for instance.
Yes.
So at the college, the same situation arises. They can get more involved on the surgical side of things.
Yeah, we're lucky in that because we also have a veterinary teaching hospital. So a number of our rotations are done right in our veterinary teaching hospital. So you could do your entire last year at our college. Mm-hmm. They can also do external rotations and such. And then if they want to specialize, they would need to do an internship, like a 1-year clinical internship. And we offer those in small animal, large animal, equine. And then once they've done that, they would go into, like a matching program for residents. So if they want to do a residency in, say for example, small animal surgery, they can come and, if they get matched with our college, then they would be part of our residency program. And they would learn, they work alongside our specialists in small animal surgery. We have large animal surgery, large animal internal medicine, just like a human hospital. So yeah, so we're very lucky that we have a really thriving hospital with a number of specialists. So, and we see, again, when we say we're Manitoba's veterinary medical center, we also are a referral center for a lot of the veterinarians across Western Canada. So.
Okay. Just to repeat, your role in the college is a spokesperson, or it's more detailed than that?
No, I'm communications. So what I do is help to, similar to this egg awareness program, we talk about the college. We do outreach where we would offer, either if it's learning more about different species. So say for equine health, we would organize talks with some of our specialists. They could learn more about different health issues and such. We also do a lot of work with our research program. So our communications team does a lot of speaking to our researchers and then helping them simplify the information so then we can share it with the public and they can understand more about what our research findings are showing. So, yeah.
On a personal note, have you had livestock or small animals in your own life?
Yeah, I grew up north of Saskatoon, so in Prince Albert area. I grew up on a pig farm, and we have cattle, and I had horses when I was younger. I still have horses, always connected to animals. I wasn't very good at science, though. I was more into the arts and more into writing, but I love my job. I have a chance to mix my interests. I love animals and learning about animal health. And I have the fun part of talking to a lot of different range of people and learning more about the work they do and then sharing it with the public. So, yeah.
Anything you'd like to add?
I'm sorry?
Anything you'd like to add?
No, it's just we love coming to the Royal Manitoba Winter Fair. It's always so great to meet so many Manitobans, and I love sharing about the college and making them, just explaining to them that this is your college, and we really want to meet Manitobans, and we it's a great chance too to meet a lot of the pre-vet veterinary students as well too. So.